if you're watching on YouTube, I really hope you took a nice long look at Jack Hughes in my intro, because that might be the last time you see him at all this season. But what is going on, Devils fans? It is, as always, your host, your best friend, your confidant, your number one source, Neil Villapiana, and welcome to a much anticipated edition of the Devil's State of Mind podcast, right here on the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as Sports Wire Radio, the best place to get everything you need to know about. Oh, God, man, it just keeps getting worse, New Jersey Devils. And as always, Devils fans, I hope you are doing well on this fine day, wherever you're listening to this podcast episode. I hope you're doing well. And thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to check this episode out. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. By the time you guys check this episode out, we will have already known what happens between the Devils and the Dallas Stars. That is coming up in about a half hour from now at the time of this recording. So first period could potentially be underway in the middle of this episode. So we might have live updates for you for this one. But nonetheless, again, thank you to everybody for checking this episode out. We have an absolutely fantastic one here for you. But quickly, just want to shout out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And guys, look, the Stanley Cup playoffs is right around the corner. NBA playoffs right around the corner. You have the Masters tournament coming up. It's March Madness now. Major League Baseball is in the thick of things with spring training. And with all that going on, DraftKings is your number one place to get in on all of the huge money prizes. So if you want to get in on this action, go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use our promo code when you sign up, THPN. Bet $5, you get $200 instantly in risk-free bets. Again, using promo code THPN when you sign up. So shout out to DraftKings as always. And shout out to Tom's River Brewing, the official beer of the New Jersey Devils and an official sponsor of the Devil's State of Mind podcast. Make sure you go get yourself a case of Stick Toss, the Devils beer, courtesy of Tom's River Brewing, so you can crack open a cold one while you watch this Devils team somehow try to get through these last handful of games without their superstar player. And we will get into that. We will have to get into that in this episode. So you guys really like having when I have guests on. And I know the last episode I didn't. It was just me. And I apologize for not having an episode last week. I was once again under the weather, dealing with the flu. But I'm back, and I have some great friends with me. I am really, really excited for this one, because I'm telling you right now, it might be chaotic. It might not. I might get roasted. I don't know. I have no idea where this is about to go. But I'm really, really excited to introduce the ladies from Brunettes Whobitch, which is a great podcast that just started up. I highly recommend that you guys go check them out. Give them a subscribe on YouTube. Follow them wherever they are on socials. And also make sure to follow them wherever you get your podcast. So let's introduce them. I'm going to do this one by one. It's going to be fun. So let's start with the first person that showed up today, and that is my good friend, Lauren.
Hi.
Hello, Lauren.
Hi.
So we got Lauren, and we have a returning guest to the podcast. She was on by herself not too long ago. It's my good friend, Ashley. Ashley's way more excited to be on now than she was when she first jumped on before we started. Love that. And next we have on Sam.
Hello.
And last but certainly not least, we have Katie. Hello, Katie.
Hey. Hey guys,
Well, yes,
I got the middle spot. Does that mean I'm taking over now?
No, we're fixing that right now. We moved it. All right, we're good now. None of that. We are having none of that today. This is my show. But nonetheless, ladies, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come on the podcast. I know it's been a minute since we originally stated that we were going to do this, so I'm glad that we were able to finally find common ground, and everybody's relatively healthy. I'm finally off the mend. I'm off of IR, but someone else is going on IR.
Back, Neil.
Someone else, unfortunately, is going on IR because right at the end of the Devils' 2-0 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights, Jack Hughes went shoulder first into the boards in a really, really hard collision, was slow to get up, skated off under his own power, and since that time, he is currently in New Jersey getting tested, and we still have no idea what his status is. There has been a lot of speculation over the last 24 to 48 hours. It might be a separated shoulder. It might be something else. And there is some consensus to believe that it's possible that he might be out for the remainder of the season. And that obviously would be a massive loss to a team that is already struggling to score, even with number 86 on the ice. So I'm going to start with Katie on this one. Katie, your initial thoughts of Jack Hughes and the situation going on.
Oh gosh. Okay. Ugh. So like I actually was pretty active on Twitter earlier today about this whole situation, and everyone is speculating that he's out for the rest of the season. I I don't want to say I think so as well, but him going to like Colorado to like get evaluated is making me incredibly nervous.
It's a fair point, and it should be mentioned. I believe it was Christy Flannery that mentioned it. When Jack Hughes was injured last year with his shoulder, he did get his procedure done in Colorado. This is the same people that he's seeing for his shoulder right now. So we'll see. Sheldon Keefe spoke to the media earlier today and said he really didn't have an update. Said they're still trying to get some particulars all squared away. And with the trade deadline coming up, it is possible that the Devils could get about $8 million in cap space if Jack Hughes were to be put on LTIR. So, kind of in a way, it might be good news that the Devils will have a lot more space to work with to potentially make some moves. They did make a minor move today in helping the Edmonton Oilers acquire Trent Frederick from the Boston Bruins. They acquired a prospect in that regard, a teammate of Mikhail Yegorov, currently at Boston University. But it also leads me to believe that the Devils moving closer to the salary cap ceiling means that they are definitely going to probably move Jack Hughes to LTIR. We shall see. Ashley, I know that you've spoken a lot about the Devils, especially since the last episode when we had you on. But your initial thoughts on the Jack Hughes injury?
I slept through it, so I'm pretending it hasn't happened.
Great, awesome. That's wonderful. So you have nothing to comment with that.
It was actually, I rewatched it like the next morning, and it was a terrifying hit. Like, granted, Eichel did nothing wrong. Like, it was just bad, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a scary video. Like, he literally lays limp. I don't know if he was unconscious. They'll never tell us if he was or not. But there's like a few seconds there where he does not move before flipping over.
Right.
And that was what made me nervous.
And that is the scary thing. The scary thing is the fact that he went as hard as he did into the boards, and he immediately kind of curled into somewhat of a fetal position, not entirely, but he was clearly in a massive amount of pain. And props to Jack Eichel for, basically being right there for Jack Hughes after he got hurt. They were teammates in the Four Nations face-off. Obviously, there's a good relationship there between the two. And again, Jack Hughes was not injured because of Jack Eichel. It was a very unfortunate situation, and I'm really wishing that people didn't just jump to conclusions and go right after Jack Eichel. He's not a dirty player in any way, shape, or form. It's just a very, very unfortunate situation that happened. It really, really sucks, especially coming off of how bad the end of that game was for the Devils, not being able to score, being shut out again, and, two mental mistakes leading to the only two goals of that game against the playoff team. And so, Lauren, your initial thoughts of what of so far, what's happened with number 86?
I did watch the game. Oh, bye, Kate.
Maybe we lost Kate. Maybe she'll come back.
She was having some Wi-Fi issues, so I did watch the game, and even though I saw it happen, I am actively pretending it did not. I mean, it was definitely like a scary hit. I did not love watching it, and me and Ashley talked about it the next day, like the few seconds where he looks limp and Jack Eichel's like, "Hey buddy, like, are you okay?" I was like, "Oh no." Like, this is not good. I hope that it's nothing like super serious. I did see things on Twitter with people saying like they thought it wasn't as bad as initially thought. I don't know how true that is. It's just like there's a lot of speculation floating around about it right now. My hope is that it's not as bad as originally thought.
Mm-hmm.
But prepare for the worst if he's out for the season.
I think, and you try to not have any sort of overreaction to anything. You don't want to flip out. I mean, look, it's hard not to, with all things considered, and the frustration with it. Pierre LeBrun of TSN, he was on Insider Trading earlier, about an hour ago, and Pierre LeBrun's point was the news does not sound good from Jack Hughes' perspective. So I think it would be fair to say to Devils fans to just try to prepare, as we were saying, prepare for the worst, prepare for the reality that Jack Hughes may very well be done for the year, which is incredibly disheartening to hear. I know that I think ESPN reported that Luke Hughes needed to be consoled after the game because apparently he was incredibly upset, not mad, but like devastated that his older brother got hurt that way and that it might be a lot more severe. So, I mean, look, the most devastated person in all of this is going to be Jack. He's a competitor. He doesn't want to miss games, and if he's told that he's done, I mean, that's gonna really really hurt his spirits, and it's gonna be tough. Sam, I know you're not a Devils fan.
Nope.
You like a certain team across the Hudson.
Yeah.
Let's
Had a
get it
great
out.
game. Had a great game last night, though. I will say.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very sad to see
lovely.
that win. I'm just saying because I was.
But-
I
We're
was
so
looking
glad
at-
you're doing well, Sam.
Well, I'm just saying Igor got a shutout. He needed a shutout, just especially if we're, I think, like 2 games back from the wild card. I think I don't remember the exact standings,
currently
but
6 points, currently 6 points behind the Devils for that third
Boo.
spot in the Metro. But Sam, from an outsider's perspective, your thoughts on what happened with Jack Hughes.
I don't think anyone loves to see one of, or if not their best player get hurt, whether you're a fan, whether you're the little brother being his teammate, whether you're a head coach. I feel like losing any kind of player that has a great impact on your team, especially offensive, defense momentum, it's rough because now you have to realize you have to move on and transition without him. How are you going to advance to your next game without that player? Like, do you have another center? Do you have another person that could fill his shoes? And that's just what they have to figure out moving forward because his playing like status is up in the air. So with I think how many games we have left? 20, right?
20-ish, depending on the
Yeah,
team.
So let's
20-ish.
say regular season about 20 games, right? 20. Ashley's counting in her head.
Ashley's doing
I saw her do the
Ashley's trying to do
I saw her
specific
go.
how many games the Devils have left.
So
I was
if you
really
say-
doing the math.
just say a little approximately over 21 games, right? Let's say he sits out those 21 games. Will it affect your playoff standing? Will it affect the possibility of seeing a postseason? You don't know. It's going to be a very big transition to fill his shoes, or I'm going to be punny and say his skates because it's not really shoes. Just saying.
I
to
mean,
be
that's-
technologically correct.
To be politically correct, you're absolutely right in that regard. But yeah, it's very devastating. I don't think you can't put any words together that would make any more sense than devastating from New Jersey's perspective. Even today, Nico Hischier looked pretty damn dejected talking to the media.
I pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think a lot of people are trying to pretend that it didn't happen. And unfortunately, it did happen, Lauren. We cannot, as much as we want to pretend, it's hard.
I don't like sad Nico. I pretend that it doesn't happen when it happens.
Well, I don't think he'll be sad for long. I think he's going to be focused on tonight's game and moving forward. And I think that that's really what the entire team is going to have to do. So, yeah, I mean, basically it's going to have to be next man up. I cannot even sugarcoat that. I can't sugarcoat it. And with a team that doesn't score, it's very hard to see.
Why don't you?
It's very hard to see who's going to be the one to step up. There's guys like Timo Meyer, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Dawson Mercer to a lot less of an extent at this point because I've basically thrown in the towel with Mercer at this point. Yeah, it's looking very bleak for the Devils. But I will say this. There is no reason that this team should not try to buy at the deadline and try to go win. I don't think there's no excuse that can be made to go to do anything else. You can't sell. You don't have your first round pick anyway, so there's no point in doing that. and you need to try to go win now. You have this core, regardless of whether you have Jack or not. You have this core. And for the fans, you can't signal to the fans, oh, well, we're not going to do anything because we don't have Jack, so our season's over. Like, you can't have the mentality that everybody on Twitter has. Like, I'm sorry, like you can't just do that. So we'll see. We will see. It's going to be really interesting. And what makes things interesting now is what type of direction will we see the Devils go in at the deadline? We are a couple of days away now. Friday the 7th is the deadline. We're going to be live on the Hockey Podcast Network's YouTube channel the entire time the trade deadline comes around. So we'll be starting at 9 a.m. and working until the 3 or 4 p.m., whatever deadline actually is. So anybody who's watching, make sure you guys go check us out over there. Myself and my buddy Kyle Manifold will be on for the first 3 hours, basically just having a good old time and seeing what trades end up being made. And that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk to you ladies about, and that is about the trade deadline. Not necessarily from the Devils, although anyone here is allowed to, full disclosure, but I want to get everybody's thinking as to what is the one, let's call it, shocking trade that could happen in their opinion. Is there a hot take that you ladies have for this trade deadline? We will start this time with Sam.
Oh, don't even talk to me about trades when it comes to hockey. I'll be completely very transparent when it comes to that. Hockey's one of those sports that I just started really getting into, and I blame not blame. I'll thank my fiance for that, because now he made me into a hockey head, and I'm yelling at the TV as if I would college basketball. So I'm still learning the trades. I obviously know who our picks were, who our trades were, and all that stuff, because I'm a Rangers fan and I have all the news on ESPN. But in the entire NHL, if they're not current players and they're not like top players, I would not have any freaking clue.
So for you, Sam, so for Sam, let's flip it around a little bit for you. So obviously the Rangers have been fairly active in the trade market. You know, they traded away, let's call it like it is. They traded away Capo Caco. They basically got rid of him.
Of course he does good when he leaves. It's crazy.
And he has done very well in Seattle since he got there. They obviously brought back JT Miller in that big trade that they had. And then they traded Ryan Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey to the Avs. I wanted, since we do have a Rangers person on here, what is your overall feeling about that trade in particular, the last one with the Rangers?
Lindgren, I feel like was just waiting to happen, and Vesey just hasn't been playing because they also knew that he was going to be traded too, and he just wasn't getting any ice time for that specific reason. And I just feel like they're both not going to blend well with the team that they're trying to put together. But at the same time, Lindgren, I was kind of a little surprised about. But after speaking to my fiance about it, he was like, no, it was meant to happen. It was supposed to happen because something along with the trades that we needed to make more room for our draft picks. We wanted more first rounders to come in and all that stuff. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot more sense, especially with our rookies actually doing pretty well. He scored, I think, not against the Islanders, maybe against the Islanders or 2 games ago. So he's finally stepping up and he's being more active than he was in the past. So we're just trying to make more room for a younger team, because we do have so many veterans. Like we have Panarin. I mean, I would say Lafreniere, but he hasn't also done anything at all. And then we have Zibanejad and all that. And now with JT Miller coming back into the mix, which Ashley's not really too fond of.
I'm actually sad you guys got rid of VC, though.
I was too, but with him not playing, it's like it was bound to happen. Yeah, he was one of those players that was bound to happen. So I was at work when that trade happened, and I go, what? When I saw Lindgren's name. VC, I would have been like, oh, that makes so much sense. But the other one, I would.
So obviously,
anytime a Rangers player gets traded, Ashley goes, good, especially when it comes to Trouba. Now she's like, Chris Carter needs to go. I'm like, okay.
So obviously the Rangers have been active. It'll be really interesting to see what happens for them once we get to the deadline, if they make any other moves. I think they have one more game before the deadline, if my memory serves me correct.
Yes.
So we'll see what they do. I think maybe depending on how that last game goes, might change the direction. I don't know. Katie, do you have anything, whether it's Devils related or not, that stands out to you, or anything that you think could be a hot take?
Oof.
I'm putting you all on the spot, aren't I? Really?
I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to one up the conversation that Sam just provided, because I'm like, whenever it comes to the trade, I try to pretend it's not happening because
Fair.
I don't want my emotional support fourth liner to get traded.
Felt that.
Is there?
But-
Yeah. Go ahead.
But I was actually kind of a little disappointed in the trade earlier that we didn't actually get to keep Trent Frederick, because for those who aren't aware, I live in a family of Bruins fans, and so I thought it would have been so funny to be like, he plays for us now. But that's about the only take I have right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, Trent Frederick was a Devil for all of about 5 minutes, as was Chris Tanev last year. If anybody remembers that, he was also a Devil for about 30 seconds. That was a fun 30 seconds of my life. But yeah, again, I don't know. Like, it's at first it didn't make any sense, but after understanding that the Devils wanted to get closer to the cap ceiling to give themselves more flexibility with the potential of LTIR money, it made sense. It was basically a free prospect, I think, at the end of the day, because I didn't give up any. I mean, they gave up the rights to sign Peter Hauser, but Hauser was never going to see the ice in terms of it being in New Jersey. So if that ends up being the only move the Devils make, I will be, I might have to wait till Monday for that one. We'll have to wait and see for next episode. So Ashley, got anything for me?
I'm actually going to give the floor to Lauren because Lauren sent one in the group chat earlier, and she should talk about it.
Okay,
Really?
Lauren, go ahead.
I did? Which group chat?
All right. By the way, I told you guys that it was going to be like this, just case in point. So
James Nichols tweet.
Oh.
the James,
Yes.
one.
Okay.
the good buddy
okay.
James Nichols from New Jersey Hockey Now.
So if we're going to talk about that one, I have two things.
If
The
one of
first
these is
one-
Nico Rantanen, I swear to God.
It is, and I literally
It is
wrote back,
Miko.
ha 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 ha. No, that was what I wrote back when she said it.
So let's hear it, Lauren.
Well, so Nichols tweeted today that depending on the IR, what happens with Jack, I guess Jersey would apparently be saying, hey, we're putting our hat in for Miko.
Yes.
I don't know what we would have to give up for that. So I don't know that I love it, but it is what it is. If I'm attached to this entire team, so I don't want anybody to leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Believe me, I understand that.
The other thing that I've seen floating around, and I would be like somewhat shocked, but also kind of not shocked, is Mitch Marner's name's been floating, and I don't know why. I don't know where it came from, but not to Jersey per se. I'm not saying trade him to Jersey. I'm just saying in general, the Leafs, I guess, I don't know if they're shopping him or if people are calling for him. He floated around last year too, his name, but nothing ever ended up happening.
Mhm.
And it's out there again this year, and I'm like, interesting.
It is interesting. The situation with Mitch Marner is that obviously he hasn't re-signed yet with Toronto,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more speculation that he'll probably walk in free agency. He's looking for something along the lines of $13 million,
Ouch.
which I know the Leafs won't sign him to. I still believe that at the end of the day, by this time next year, Mitch Marner will be a Chicago Blackhawk because they'll spend money
Chicago?
on somebody. Because they'll spend money on somebody to pair with Connor Bedard, whether it's him or even Mikko Rantanen if he does not re-sign with
That's
Carolina.
valid.
And I'm glad you brought up the Mikko Rantanen thing because it has been brought up before to me numerous times, including today. I will just let me bring everybody back down to earth a little bit because I understand where the wanting to get a player like him is so enticing. Here's the issues, though. Number one, it's within the division. I don't know if Carolina would want to trade somebody to an opponent that you will most likely play in the first round of the playoffs. If the
That's fair.
Devils and Hurricanes play in the first round, right? Let's just give this an example. And the Devils beat them. Eric Tulsky will get fired right on the spot. Because for him to let a superstar player go to a divisional rival and then lose to them because of that would be fireable. I would fire Fitzgerald if he did the same thing.
That's valid.
So the other thing is that unless the Devils are actually going to go and sign him to whatever, which I would not want to sign him to $14 million a year personally, I just don't see them wanting to be that well into it. Like, I don't see it. And the other thing is this would be great if Jack Hughes was healthy. Like, I'm not saying it still wouldn't be awesome and he would produce, but also you would have the same problem if you're Mikko Rantanen that you have in Carolina, and that is that you don't have a driving player. You don't have a guy who drives the play because Jack's going to be out. So we'll see. I could be wrong. I to be honest with you, I didn't expect Mikko Rantanen to get traded from Colorado. Didn't expect
Neither
that.
did I.
Nobody
I don't
did.
think anyone did.
Nobody did. It came out of left field. The biggest thing I'll say from the Devils is this, and this is not even a hot take. This is just me being honest. Somebody on this team is playing their last game for the Devils tonight. I don't know which one that is, but somebody's
Neil, don't go
doing.
there.
I was gonna say that still sounds like a hot take to me. That still sounds like a hot take to me. Like,
Considering the Devils are going to be active at the deadline, reportedly, I have a tough time believing that anyone other than Nico, Jack, obviously, Brat. Why am I blanking today? Timo, God help me.
Doesn't Palat have a no move clause?
Luke, Palat,
Well-
Hala.
Who knows about Palat? I don't know at this point. We'll see.
He'd have to waive it. He has a no trade.
He might. I don't know. I doubt it. I very much doubt it. It'd be very dumb, but we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be fascinating. I'm not gonna sleep on Thursday night. That's not happening because something will happen at 3 a.m. I know this isn't the NBA, and I'm not going to get a Woj bomb at 3 a.m., but I still think that it could happen. So
I'm
I'm going to keep.
traumatized from Woj bombs.
Hey,
The one that
you
we
know,
all thought was a lie.
it's going to be fascinating. So I mean, the trade deadline is right around the corner. I will have an episode out after the trade deadline. I will have I already have a guest on for that one. So I am continuing this trend of having people on to join me on these episodes, which I enjoy. So the next thing that I wanted to talk to you ladies about, we have to talk about this because this is the whole reason that all of you ladies are here. I need to know the backstory of how Brunettes Who Bitch became a thing. So I'm gonna ask who would like to be the one to share that story, or we could just go as I was doing before, one by one.
I joined last minute, so I take the fifth here.
Fair
She
enough.
didn't join last minute. She's a liar.
I feel like
She's
Ashley
a-
really knows how this all came to be.
I mean, Ashley did give me a pretty good description the last time.
Ashley, take it away. All you.
All you, girl.
I was gonna say, we're not giving you the choice; you have to do it.
Yeah, like literally.
Clearly. Actually. No, so me and Sam, this is where Sam really does come into this, because Sam and I have joked about a podcast for years. She is my sports counterpart for every New York team that I hate, she's a fan of.
So Mets fan.
Yeah.
Mets, Jets, Knicks.
See, NBA,
NBA
I
doesn't
just
really
like the
count.
NBA because of players. Like the NBA,
Yes.
if I had to choose a team, it would be the Knicks. Yes.
And so
Exactly.
Sam is just like most of the NBA fans, just fans of players.
Pretty much because I don't like watching games that go to 100 every single freaking time. But anyway,
But so she is my counterpart. So we were going to make a podcast, the two of us, with New York sports.
Love it.
And obviously we joked about it, but both of our lives are so chaotic and it never came to fruition. And then me, Lauren, and Kate were like, we're starting we are doing this. We're starting a podcast. And I was like, okay, well, Sam's joining because Sam's my other half. Sam was doing the podcast with me too.
Like
So-
she mentioned it to me like we were texting, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds so much fun, like not thinking that I was included on it the entire time. Like for the first
Right.
episode I think I was part of, I was like, I feel so bad that I'm not here because I have a really hectic work schedule sometimes. And she goes,
Right.
shut up, you're part of it. I go, all right, cool.
My
Nice.
favorite part was the first episode you were on. You were like, "Thanks for having me, guys," and we're like, "You're part of it. Shut the hell up."
Literally acting like a guest.
It
We're
was
like,
literally that episode.
part of
There
it.
is no guest about this, Sam.
Wonderful.
But hi, yeah, I'm here.
And it's Brunettes Who Bitch because we don't want to just talk about sports and be locked into talking about just the Devils or just the Yankees or just this or just that. There's such a wide lens when it comes to sports, and being able to cover multiple things that we'd really be missing out on if we truly were like, we're just going to focus on the Devils.
I kind of feel like that was a shot at me because that's what I focus on.
No, not at all.
I was like, Ashley, be careful how you phrase that.
I mean, that's my whole podcast.
Yes,
No,
you're
it's
very
not.
good at that.
Thank you.
I think it's different when there's like other podcasts that are also talking about like the Devils, because you feel like you don't want to like copy everyone else and be like, oh, like, yeah, they were just talking about that, blah, blah, blah. Kind of gives us like more of a leeway to kind of like still put out new content and all that
Yeah.
without being like, oh, yeah, like you just heard that somewhere else.
And it's also cool because I don't think you've really seen an all female podcast that talks about sports. Like you'll have like a person to make a feature on a podcast or something, or
Mhm.
even like a TV show, something like that. But you'll never really see a full female panel unless it's like the WNBA. Like you see them, the analysts all the time. Which is
100%.
great.
100%.
But I'm saying like when it comes to like when we talked about in episode 2, when we talked about like the trades, we were talking about Luca and all these other trades that were happening around the sports realm. We didn't just focus on one sport and one sport only. Just Luca happened to trigger that whole thing because we still can't get over that.
I mean, it's still a trade that what I loved about it from the hockey standpoint was so many people were like, explain this to me, but in hockey terms. And then just seeing people's responses to that, which a lot of them were fairly accurate. Some of them were not accurate or not as much as I thought it would be. But no, it's
I explained it to Katie in One Direction terms.
Oh,
That
that's
was more
right.
I mean, that is a very creative way.
That was good.
Yeah.
I
That was
understood
a good
it
one.
perfectly.
Hey,
Like
I mean,
the importance.
and you know what? It's just great because I've talked about it. Ashley knows this. I've talked about it when she was on a couple weeks ago. It's just great that there is just more females in general talking about sports and feeling the freedom to do that, because there are just a lot of females in general, like you ladies, that have very strong opinions on different things. You know, I've listened to your guys' podcast numerous times since you ladies started, and it's been great. It's just great to hear
Thanks.
hear something just different. You know that I share everything, Lauren. I share everything.
I
It's
know
what
we
I do.
appreciate it.
We do.
And I don't know when those cookies will be made, by the way. 'Cause, yeah, I was listening. I've heard that. So I don't know when that will happen, but it'll happen. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It won't take many more years for me to do this. But
I mean, if you want cookies, I got a whole bag right here.
there you go. So
I want a
There you
cookie.
but I think it's great that, and this is why I wanted you ladies on the podcast. It's just, I wanted to give you guys another opportunity, another platform to, express yourselves and talk about why you're doing it. And I think it's awesome what you ladies are doing. I think it's fun. I've seen a lot of the content you guys put out. Katie, I've seen you do the mini mic content several times,
Yeah.
which is great. I absolutely love. And that's just awesome. And I think for a lot of young girls, it's great that they get to grow up seeing much more of women being in this industry, being able to talk about sports and feeling the freedom and comfortability to do so. And I commend all of you for doing this because it's awesome. It's really awesome what you're
You're
doing.
preaching to the choir here. My lord.
So, do you know what's really funny about this? When we hop off with you, we're actually recording our episode for, I think, next week. And
Love it.
it's women in sports history.
Because it's
Love
Women's
that.
History Month. March is
It
Women's
is-
History Month.
It is. You are absolutely correct. So also, again, perfect timing to have you ladies on the podcast, which I love. Also, not that I'm sorry that some people might get rubbed the wrong way. The Jack Hughes injury kind of worked out in the fact that like we had that to talk about right away, get it out of my system. Because believe me, I've been pissed for the last 2 days. I'm not even sad. I've just been pissed about it.
It's valid. You're valid.
I'm glad I have this platform that I can, that's great. Now, I do have some news that I'm going to drop on everyone. It's not that crazy. It's not,
Dallas scored.
but
I was just gonna.
that wasn't the news I was talking about. But
I was waiting for him to say that was the news.
awesome.
Find it on my TV.
How am I-
I'm trying to find it? So I can
1-0
watch it.
them, Pork Fountain Kitchen.
Wow,
Listen,
what a start. So yeah, Devil.
ESPN Plus tells me that it's the Devils game on, but I'm watching freaking basketball. I want the
Hey,
Devils
great
game.
sport.
So
Great
yeah,
sport. I'm
here's your
watching the
update
Knicks.
for the
It is
night.
a good sport, but I want the Devils game.
So yes, the Devils just went down 1-0, 90 seconds in, thanks to Wyatt Johnson's 22nd goal of the year. Now, here's something that came up in a Devils group chat that I'm in because it was actually brought to my attention. Emily Kaplan says before the Devils game that she was told Jack Hughes is deciding whether he needs surgery or not. That is what.
Oh God.
So whatever has happened is pretty bad. And here's what I look at it from that perspective really quick. It's just that I just get surgery. I would not mess around with this.
Yeah,
I know that he wants to play. I know that he will come and play if he's able to. But as we saw last year, when he's playing hurt, he can't do anything. He's not productive.
Especially as a young player, like you don't want to not get surgery or like push out the rest of the season to make the injury worse, and God forbid it affects your playing career. Like we've seen so many players, like I'll use an example, David Wright having a really bad back injury that he let wither away during his career, and that took him out for like 2 to 3 seasons back to back. So you don't want to do that to a young player, especially with so much talent. So I say get the surgery, get it done and over with, and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess, we'll see. Yes, Ashley?
What makes it so frustrating is he just had surgery for the offseason.
Yeah.
On his other shoulder, yes.
Ooh.
So he's gonna have 2 bionic shoulders now.
He's gonna have
Yo,
he's gonna have a tough time getting through TSA moving forward. I think
Yeah,
that's
literally.
the body
He's-
checks are going to be so real now.
so. We'll see. But before we wrap up this episode, there's one last thing I wanted to ask all of you, and that is, I would like each of you to give me one sports moment. Could be hockey, could be any other sport, any sport
I know Sam's.
that stands out to you the most. And I'll just start with Sam because Ashley said it.
Well, so obviously I'm a diehard Mets fan. We kind of touched upon that. And I'm a New Yorker. So I think if people are a New Yorker and a Mets fan can kind of figure out where this direction is going to go. My favorite sports moment was Mike Piazza's home run right after 9/11. And he is the reason why I wore 31 back in college. So he had an
Nice.
impact on my life since then. I was 5. Don't remember much back when I was 5, but for some reason I cannot get that memory and that image out of my head. Can't do it.
It is a memory that for people who are not old enough to remember it,
Yeah.
will never understand how much of an impact it really had because it was just so impactful after what was one of the most tragic events in the United States' history, and even in the world, to be quite frank. And for something as simple as sports, I mean, that right there shows you just how impactful sports can be. That even in those incredibly difficult moments, one play can make everybody feel better, even for just a couple of hours And I think that that's what's great about sports. It's an escape for a lot of people from a lot of the frustrations and things. It's not always an escape, depending on the situation. But nonetheless, that is an awesome moment. Lauren, you're next. If it's a University of Michigan moment, I don't want to hear it.
No, it's not a University of Michigan moment. I'm kind of bouncing between two.
You can tell me too. That's fine.
All right. Well, I guess like the first one for me would be the big sport moment would be when the Raptors won the championship. They set up, you know how they have like Maple Leaf Square and they have like the Jurassic Park thing where the playoffs are happening for those teams.
Yep.
Yeah. So they had little pop-up ones all across like Canada.
Oh, nice.
Because the Raptors were in the finals, right? And my mom and I actually were in the one in the city near us the night that they won. And it was just like a really like big moment for me and my mom to have together, and also for like our team to win. So that's probably like one of my like wholesome big sports moments. The other one is because I'm a little bit patriotic, especially with us winning 4 nations, is Crosby's golden goal. But
fair enough. No, it's fair. It's fair. No, that one still hurts. Not gonna lie.
Well, I mean, at least you didn't get a repeat of it. At least it was somebody different this time.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but
I didn't get a repeat
David
of
this
it.
time around.
Sure. Totally.
Makes it
Let
worse.
me have this one, okay? I'm the only Canadian in this group.
The group chat was heated a little bit after that game because we were all like
A little bit.
and Lauren was all like, "Yeah, maple syrup."
They kept texting. Okay, listen. When the U.S. beat Canada, like on the Saturday before, they all were like, "Rah rah!" Like USA,
Free
what the fuck is a
bird.
kilometer? Free bird. This whole thing. So when we won, I went, "Rah rah!" Maple syrup.
Yeah.
Pretty good
hate all
comeback.
of you.
I was fortunate enough that I was in Nashville when that happened, so I had an excuse to go out after that because I needed it. I needed to listen. I needed to inject country music into my veins for like 30 minutes.
That's valid.
I don't think I've listened to as much country music as I did when I was in Nashville. I even got to hear the Predators' goal song, even though the goal didn't count, which is also country to the shock of no one.
What is their goal song?
It's called "I Like It, I Love It" by.
I like it. I love it.
Yep,
I
please
want
stop.
some
Sam,
more
no,
of
Sam,
it.
stop, please. I'm done with
It's
that
Tim
song.
McGraw.
It's such a terrible, annoying song.
Oh, hell. Don't disrespect my boy Tim like that.
Well, when you listen to it like 30 times before the game, you're going to hate it. You will hate it.
I'll give you
That's
that.
fair.
I'll give you that.
But no, those are great. Those are great moments for sure. So, Katie?
Oh gosh. Okay.
How come every time I say Katie, she goes, "Oh God"?
Because
I
I'm
put
always
you
like
on the
listening to
spot.
everyone else, and I'm like, how can I top this? I feel like my big sports moment isn't even for professional sports. It was my junior year of high school, I think, and my school was at the Syracuse Carrier Dome for the like NCAA something. It's been a couple.
Gotta
of
love
years.
the Carrier Dome.
The state championship, and we had never really won anything of any substance for a really long time. So there was maybe like 10 seconds left in the game, and my school was down by like 1 touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And with like 5 seconds left in the game, my school scored a touchdown and they won the state championship. And there was just something about that, like afterwards when they were like driving back to this tiny little town with 1 stoplight. Like I live in a really, really small town, but this like really kind of like solidified the community of the sport and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense at all.
Makes
But
perfect sense.
It was kind of just like refreshing to see like everyone like be so excited for the same reason.
That is awesome because I can definitely relate to that in many ways because even in those type of situations, even in as low as high school and beyond that, there are moments that happen in sports that last literally for people a lifetime. And that's awesome. I'm glad that you got to experience that because that is really, really cool. That is, and playing in the Carrier Dome, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Brunette.
and I mean,
Um,
not to like brag or anything, but they won the state championship the next year too, so we kind of like got to go twice.
Oh,
But
there you go.
I don't think they've won since then, so I don't want to say like the people that I went to high school with were like the best football players, but
I think that's basically what we've all concluded from that. Um, Ashley, I know that you probably have a great moment from every era of Yankee baseball, but it's not. If you have it, if it's going to be Yankees, I feel like I know where you're going to go with it. But nonetheless, what is your number one sports moment?
I have two I'm going to share with you. One is Yankees. What is your guess on the Yankees one?
My guess is Derek Jeter's last game.
I have
No.
one.
I was at the game that I'm going to reference.
Oh, never mind.
Fair
I was
enough.
gonna say when Juan Soto became a Met, but okay.
Yes, that's my actual favorite Yankee moment ever.
That is the greatest moment in Yankee history for sure.
You guys still overpaid for him.
Facts,
aside.
100%.
My favorite moment in sports history is when I watched Sam win her basketball college CUNY championship.
wait,
Aw.
that's what?
No, that's really not one of them. I was joking.
Oh, that was
Dude,
so
I said an overheat over here. I was like,
I was
there's
like,
no
that
fucking
was
way
so
she's being
sweet.
cute. I was like, in my entire friendship, she's never been that nice.
That's the nicest I'll ever be to her in my life.
Jeez.
So that was very. Listen, I drove to the Bronx to go see her win a championship.
Hey,
I support her. Anyway, I was at Aaron Judge's game when he tied Babe Ruth for 60 home runs. And so granted, that wasn't when he beat the record, but it was such a memorable moment being there. And we were losing, and Stanton hit a walk-off 3-run home run, I think. So, like, that game in general was just, like, a game. Like, I will remember that game for the rest of my life. We were in the bleachers. It was the best time
Love it.
ever. And then the other moment besides for that would be when the Giants won the Super Bowl because my dad literally pulled me out of school so I could go to the parade.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Also, this is not a knock on Ashley, but if her favorite moment is not involving the Yankees winning anything in the last decade plus, I think there's a problem there. I think
They
there's
should be playing better.
same thing with the Giants. It's the same thing, but nonetheless, funny enough, Ashley, I was at the Aaron Judge game when he tied the record. When he tied the American League record in Toronto. Ironically, he was in Toronto when he broke the American League record, which makes no sense.
Canada.
Literally
Yeah,
makes no
it's
sense. But
great.
whatever.
Absolutely fantastic. Also, shout out to the Rogers Center, the only place that has level 700. It is just not even. It's just bars. It's
What?
not even a thing.
Where the hell were you sitting? Level
Upper,
700?
whatever upper deck is in Rogers, it was 700.
Were you in like the Corona rooftop or something?
I was up. I was very high up. Okay, that's all I'll tell you. I was very high up.
The
It was like
highest I've ever seen is 500. So like you unlocked a new level.
He's just
It
was in
on
the
top
back
of the
rooms.
stadium. Literally on top of the
I was sitting
stadium.
on the roof. I was sitting on the retractable roof. Actually, fun fact.
From the top of the CN Tower, actually.
Exactly.
So, fun fact, I really want to go the Marriott that's connected to Rogers Center.
Yes,
Arena.
me too.
Are we gonna do that?
We are. You can literally get a room with
You
field
can.
view.
This is true. This is
So
very
that
true.
is like bucket list item.
Yeah,
I need
definitely.
to go see a Yankees Toronto game
Don't
there.
roll your eyes about Toronto, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll leave it with Vladimir Guerrero will be a Yankee in the next year. So I'll just leave it at that.
I don't follow the Blue Jays, so
They do
But
think that. I
this
don't
is-
like that, but they do think
Well,
that.
fortunately for me, most of my network is full of Canadians, and most of them are Blue Jays fans. So I'll just leave it at that and just be like, Kyle Manifold, if you're watching, you already know that Vlad Guerrero will be a New York Yankee, and you'll just have to deal with that.
I don't want him. You can keep him.
Ben Rice is not going to be a major league player.
Ben Rice is not major league caliber player.
We don't have a first baseman. I'm going to stop there.
Oh.
Paul Goldschmidt is not the answer after this year.
We don't
The
have a
Mets also
third
don't
baseman
have a first
either.
baseman.
We have very little. We have a crappy GM and a crappy owner. What's your point?
Yo, just get yourself a Steve Cohen.
No, I don't want Uncle Steve. Uncle Steve stinks. Uncle
No.
Steve has proven me nothing.
Money can buy you happiness. When you go to Citi Field, everyone leaves happy, even when you
Sam,
lose.
you haven't won a World Series since the 80s. What are you talking about?
But that's my point. I think we actually spoke about this on the pod. I forgot what episode it was, but we were just talking about like how when the Mets lost to the game before the World Series, I've never seen a team be so happy to lose or a fan base be like, you know what, guys, we did
2015.
really good. Never in my life as a Mets fan, 28 going to be 29 years. Never in my life have I seen a Mets fan, Mets Stadium, and a fandom be okay with losing. The tides have turned. Maybe.
Wake me up when it's June and half the team's on IR. You just say that.
I will say
Our
Pete
entire
Alonso
team
will
is
be on
on IR
IR.
right now.
Who is?
All of the Yankees.
Oh yeah, no, we have one of our pitchers on the IR. Something with like an oblique strain.
Nice.
Yeah, whatever.
By the way, I know that there's a lot of Yankee and Mets fans who are Devils fans that listen to this. So, like, I'm sure they're loving this right now that, like, we're having this discussion because this is the really big stuff that you need. Because, like, let's face it, guys, like, with the Devils, like, other than Jack Hughes getting hurt and the Devils are already losing at the time of this recording, like, what is there to talk about?
Nemo also took a high stick to the face, if anybody was curious.
What do you, okay, did we get a power play out of it?
No,
Probably
because he
not.
got hit by Brendan Dillon.
Oh, sick. Well, like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, oh, God. Oh, God. Well, I'm not going to keep you ladies on for much longer because I know you guys got an episode to record yourselves. But before I let you go, because I do this with all of my guests, Ashley knows this, I like to roll out the red carpet to let the people who are checking this episode out, to let them know where they could check out the podcast and everything you got going on. So I'm just going to say the floor is yours, and then somebody go.
Go, Kate, go.
Go.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a little difficult because our username is a little different on a couple of different things. But
So is
on
mine.
TikTok and I believe Instagram, we are just Brunettes Whobitch. And then on
Yep.
Twitter, we are Brunettes Pod.
Yep.
I personally, on TikTok and Twitter, I am NJD Katie. I bet you can guess what those letters stand for. And then Instagram, I'm TPW Katie. It's a Harry Styles reference, but
Lovely. Lovely. Lauren, where can they find you?
TikTok and Instagram, both of mine are live with Lauren. And then I think my Twitter is just Lauren Keller. I actually have no idea what it is. And obviously we have the brunette stuff and barn burners if you want hockey content.
Yeah.
Barn burner beauties on
Nice.
Instagram and TikTok. Oh, I got fireworks.
And then she got fireworks during that process. Ashley, you get a second opportunity to plug where people can check you out.
Oh, how lovely. Is Ricardo across all platforms.
Nice and easy.
Very
super
simple. And last but certainly not least, Sam.
So I actually have a personal and a fitness account. So I'm just going to promote my fitness account because my personal account is private. So I'm just going to do Instagram. It is Flecker Fit. And my last name is Flecker, not fucker. Okay. Because people think it is all the time. So my Instagram is Flecker Fit. And my Twitter and my TikTok are SAMM and my last name, FLECKER. But I don't really go on Twitter that much. I'll be honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You're not missing a whole lot. Let's put it that way.
That's valid. You're not.
You're not missing a whole lot. But ladies, this was great. I could do this for hours. And I just appreciate you guys taking the time to come on the podcast, talk a little bit about the Devils, whether you're a fan of the team or not. Doesn't matter to me as long as we could just talk about it.
Sam.
It's Sam hiding. But just, I love giving you ladies the opportunity to just talk more about what you guys are all about, and just what you guys are doing is awesome. And thank you so much for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
for
us.
having
We're
us.
glad to
You.
be here. We'll have
We
you on
love
ours
you.
soon.
We love this. Yes, you will be on
Yeah,
ours
you
soon.
could be our first feature person. Like we're gonna bring on. Wait, no, you
I'm
guys
down.
got a whole group of people. Never mind. I thought
Yeah,
it was
The
gonna
first
be the show.
individual person.
Okay,
The
touche.
barn burners are
Touche.
different.
Yeah,
Touche.
we didn't
Fair
really
enough.
give them a choice. We said, "Hey, like you guys have to get on."
Yeah, pretty
We're
much.
giving you the choice. Don't worry.
And
Well,
you didn't get
well, when-
roasted that much.
We'll
No,
roast them
fair
on
enough.
ours. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh
guys will
yeah.
just roast me. Yeah, you guys just roast me on yours. But yeah, whenever you ladies need me, just let me know, and I will plan accordingly. But thank you everybody for checking out this episode. Really do appreciate it. Make sure to go check out the Devil State of Mind podcast. Subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't already. Also check us out on Twitter at Devil State, Instagram at Devil State of Mind, as well as Facebook. Give us a like over there. And also check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're on Apple or Spotify, just like with the lovely ladies here, do me a favor and drop a 5-star rating. It helps the podcast out tremendously. But thank you all so very much, and we will see you in the next episode. And as always, Devils fans, make sure to rock on.